What is up, YouTube? Today, I want to bring you a beginner's guide to the laning phase. First, we'll be taking a look at a winning situation, then we'll take a look at one where the lane is more evenly matched, and lastly, a losing lane. This way, after you watch this video, you'll know exactly what to do in each and every one of those situations. There's a couple of things that I really want you to remember as a beginner as we get into this first replay here. Write this down, keep note of it. Do not boost when the game begins to reach your lane quicker. That does not help at all because both waves hit each other at the same time. The second point is that if you are low at the very beginning of the game, do not stay in lane. This alone will win you a lane. What you want to do is go on the zipline, use your boost. Then, at that point, and you will be back in lane after healing very quickly. You might lose about 15 seconds of being in lane, but just not dying will help out much more than anything else. Another thing that you really want to keep in mind as a beginner is that you always want to stick behind your own creeps. This is because creeps hurt a lot, so if you're in front of your own creeps, then the enemy minions will be hitting you, and they hurt. Within the same idea, you also want to stay close to your own healing minion. If you heal more than the enemy player because you're closer to the healing minion, you will be able to sustain a lot more and harass a lot more in the lane. Because of that reason, the enemy team is also going to be trying to do that. Therefore, you always want to prioritize hurting the healer minion of the enemy team. You also always want to be pushing the lane as much as possible. This is not like Dota, like League, where you really want to be controlling the minion wave as much as possible. You actually really want to be pushing the lane as much as you humanly can, just because it adds so much pressure to the enemy team, and then it allows you to have a little bit of free time to go back, to buy, maybe to even get the small camp. But as a beginner, don't worry about the small camps and all that so much right now, but do keep that in the back of your mind. You always want to be pushing the lane as much as possible. Also remember to buy as many 500 soul items as you possibly can at the beginning, because they will give you the most amount of benefit for the smallest amount of souls. And lastly, your goal for the laning phase is really to destroy the enemy guardian. This is because it will close up a shop for the enemy team, so they'll have a harder time to actually buy items. They'll have to waste a little bit more time, and your own team will control more of the map due to that. You really want to focus on not missing any last hits, even going for them on melee if you can, because the souls do not show up for them to deny if you last hit using your melee. At the same time, you also want to stay around your healer minion, which is the one with the flag on it, because the more you heal during the early game phases, the more time you can spend in lane trying to harass the enemy team. Now, in this specific matchup, our lane pushing ability is not as good as Seven and Great Talon at the same time, so we do have to spend a lot of time trying to kill the minions. Because of that, we're not able to harass the enemy team as much as we want to, but it does work out in the end. Now you see me here just pushing as much as we possibly can, because as soon as you destroy the guardian, they will lose their own shop, and that is very important to have. Now you'll see on the bottom left here that my items, I ended up buying basic magazine and sprint boots. I did this because I like to increase the magazine size of Warden's gun. Now after we get this kill here, we try to push the lane as much as we possibly can, just trying to get to that guardian as fast as possible using our creeps. Of course, I like to stay around the healer minion, and as much as you possibly can, try to just hit the head in the guardian. I'm very low on health right now, so I do not really want to be taking this fight head on. I turn around when I saw that the Vindicta was actually hurting them from the top. I should be able to back me up. So as a beginner, there's a tendency to overextend, and you do not want to do that. You want to stick behind the creeps whenever you do see an enemy around, because the creeps hurt a lot. Now here, this is where he messed up. You really want to stick behind your own creeps, which if you look at Seven, he just happens to not have any creeps right now, and he's not behind his tower or anything. So we're easily able to just hit him a few times on the head, Vindicta and I, and then I just go under the guardian because we have creeps nearby that are able to tank the guardian a little bit. I was able to just walk by and hit him, and that's the power of your own creeps. They can really tank a lot of damage that you would otherwise be taking, and they can also deal a lot of damage. So don't repeat that mistake that Seven did. Stick behind your creeps. If you don't have any, try to go as far back as you possibly can. Now I here go for a Quicksilver reload because we are up by a lot, so I don't really feel the need to buy as many 500 soul items as you usually would during the laning phase. But regularly, what you really want to do is buy the $500 items. This is because they will give you the most benefit for the least amount of souls. Now we're reaching the mid section here of the early laning phase phases, and we are up by so much that all we want to do is harass, push the lane, and destroy the Guardian. As a beginner, you should not really be worrying so much about farm and such until you understand how and when to push, when to go in for kills, how not to overextend. Those are just a couple of things that you really have to be careful for as a beginner, because the largest issue that I see is that people tend to really overextend a lot. As you just saw here, I was getting harassed, I was becoming really low, and we had about one more creep left, so I went back to go buy. Now here I buy a couple more 500 soul items here, and then we begin this fight. We have an advantage here, huge advantage right now due to all of the items. So if you're on the losing side of this, you do not want to take fights head on. The Guardian is almost dead here. If you destroy the Guardian before the other team, you could say that you have won the lane. That's not 100% always true, but because you're giving your team such a large advantage by controlling more of the map and denying the enemy team the ability to purchase items from this shop right here, it is equivalent to you winning. Now here I finally get the small camp despawn at 2 minutes, but there was really no better chance. Getting the Guardian is always better. Now these $500 items here, sprint boots, extra stamina, hollow point ward, and high velocity magazine. The combination of all these mean a lot of damage in the early game. I also buy healing right to be able to stay in lane as much as possible, but because I got greedy, Kelvin comes and ganks me, and I die. Lesson learned here is not to get greedy. If you're that low as I was, don't just try to heal up with healing right and always be looking at the minimap, because I definitely would have noticed if I would have been looking at the minimap that the Kelvin was coming towards us. Now they have also destroyed our Guardian now at 8 minutes, but we are up by so much on souls. Our Vindicta has 7,000 souls. I have 6,000 right now. Both of our enemies, one of them just got to 6,000 and the other one only has 5,000. This means that we have a huge lead right now and we need to take advantage of this. Now the early laning phases are done, so now you want to start ganking. You want to start making as much money as possible, farming the jungle and helping out the rest of your team. Try to get as many Guardians as you possibly can. And around this time frame is when the laning phase is generally over. And that's really as much as I want to touch on during the laning phase for a winning matchup. Again, keep in mind a couple of things here. You want to deny as many souls as you possibly can, hit the orange ones from the enemy. You also want to secure as many of your own blue souls as possible when you kill creeps. When you get the last hit, you want to also try to last hit as much as possible using your melee. That way the enemy team can't deny your own souls. And constantly be pushing the lane no matter what. These are a couple things that you want to keep in mind as a beginner. As you get better at the game, you will be adding more and more things, and I will be touching on that later, but for now, just stick to denying, make sure not to get denied, push the lane as much as possible, and always stay behind your own creeps. And now let's take a look at the second game here when it is a lot more evenly matched up and I don't really have the ability to just shut down the enemy team as easily because there's a lot of pushing pressure. Let me show you how strong the pushing pressure actually is here. This is a match where I was also playing Warden, but it did not go as well as planned. I was solo laning here against a Wraith. Now you see her actually last hitting with her melee, which is very strong, and she immediately pushed the lane. You see what this does to me right now. I have to be very far back. I only have 200 health and that was immediate. That took about 1 minute. And I'm already on the losing side here. This is what pushing the lane a lot can really do. You always want to add that pressure. Now she's still really close to our creeps here, so I was able to harass her a lot. So if you're gonna be adding this pressure, meleeing as many creeps as she did, if you're gonna be doing all that, you do need to keep in mind your own health and how much damage you can really take. Again, you always want to prioritize the healer minion there like I did, and now I'm pushing the lane as much as possible so that I can go back and buy items. Now she had the right idea by pushing as much as she did, but she did mess up by not allowing herself to get as many souls as she really deserved there. Now reloading is a big deal in this game. You don't want to be reloading while you're actually trying to get souls, while you have to shoot a soul. Now because I'm pushed up, I try to stay below so that I can get a better chance to destroy her souls without her hurting me. Again, I'm trying to push the wave as much as possible here, but she added a lot of pressure to me. So just that immediate pressure at the beginning was enough for me not to be able to do as much as I wanted to. Now here I just got very greedy. I meleeed at the end. That was just bad. So this is really going to set me back, and it's a lesson to all of you to not do what I just did. Even if she's very low like that, if you're in front of the minion, in front of the Guardian, you will be getting getting hit by that Guardian. Now, due to my mess up here, I was a little upset, so I started to just go a little too far. But it's okay because we still have a healer minion here, and I am focusing theirs. Therefore, our wave is going to push a lot quicker than hers right now. Now, she's staying way too long, and I'm doing it again here. But now I remember my own mistake earlier, so I back up. But just don't make that mistake that I did. If you were losing lane at the beginning, like I was, you really want to be going for more healer type of items. Things that will give you an advantage in survivability. So for example, I actually got healing right at the beginning, and I got extra stamina at that time that I went back to purchase items. This is because she was proving to be a good enemy here that was able to push the lane a lot further than I really had hopes for. Therefore, it made me get a little bit defensive here. Now I have enough money for items, so I pushed the lane. Although I'm here thinking I should go by, I realized that she's so low that if she stays, I'm able to just kill her. So I end up just going to push the lane out. Now I'm trying to stay below her ability to aim here so that I can destroy the souls without getting hit by her. Now at this very moment in time right now, I should be buying items. I have no reason to not just push the lane and go immediately back to purchase my items. So that really just shows how everybody really makes mistakes, even at a bit of a higher level play. Here we go, I finally go back to get items now. And now that I have a little bit more gold, a little bit more souls, and the ability to do things to her, I actually end up purchasing the sprint boots, the only vitality item that I purchased there, and everything else is for damage. So I get the headshot booster, the high velocity magazine, and the hollow point ward. Meanwhile, at the same time, it's already 7 minutes into the match, but I am still trying to deny her souls, pushing the lane out as much as possible. This is something that you always want to do. And at this point, I realized I might be able to take the Guardian soon. She stayed for way too long there just trying to get those souls, so I took advantage of it, and this really allows me to put in a lot more work now. I'm able to just push out the lane, stick to the healer minion so I can get my health back up, and at this point, I can just reload one more time, use the little unlimited ammo thing to be able to shoot more, get the Guardian, and get out of here. At this point, I have a lot more souls than she does, and it's not necessarily because of how well I played the lane or anything, it's just because I was able to kill her just because she made a mistake, and that's really what is most important here. Although she was pressuring me a lot, she was actually adding a lot of lane pressure by pushing out the creeps, especially at the beginning of the game, but I was able to adjust to that and push as much as her and then just wait for her to make a mistake. At this point, although I already kind of won the lane, I really want to make sure that I keep this lead. I'm doing that by pushing the lane out as much as possible so that she's not able to go back into my Guardian and just destroy it really quickly. So I want to make sure that the creep wave is as fully out as possible before I go to other lanes and do other things. I see her farming here, and this is where I want to cut it, right at the end here. So I catch her off guard, so I'm able to do this and just hit her in the head and kill her real quick, just because I heard her and I found her farming in the middle there. This is also another lesson that you should take away from that you should really be pushing the waves out first before you do farm the jungle, if you do. So let's stop there for that one, and let me show you a third match here that did not go as well as that last one. A couple of lessons from that match are that you should always be pushing, always, no matter what. And even if you seem to be losing at the beginning, you can still pull it around as long as you can capitalize on a mistake that the enemy does. And now this match, I'm playing against a 7. I am playing as Warden. And this match does not go nearly as well as the previous one that we just saw. First, notice what he's doing. He immediately went for my healer minions, killed it as quickly as possible. And here I am not able to keep up right now. He has a lot of AoE at the beginning that I cannot keep up with. He's also very good at destroying my souls. So this match will really come to show how even if you lose the lane, you're able to bring it back by doing a couple things that I will help you with here. First, I'm still attempting to push out the lanes. I'm still attempting to catch all the souls here, but his gun is just way better than mine at the beginning of the game. There's a couple of matchups like this where it's very hard to do anything with, so you're just gonna have to deal with it basically. So here, I'm actually going back, using my boost now because I did not use it at the beginning of the game, and using it now allows me to lose just a couple of seconds and then be back in lane immediately. This might have taken about 15 seconds total, and it allowed me to basically have 2 lives so that I could come back and not miss out on the souls and the experience and everything that was there just because he pushed so much already. Now because he did not go back, he's low on health right now, so he feels like he has to be on the defensive side, but he's still pushing a lot. His gun is just much better because of his ability to hit things in an AoE. I was able to deny that soul, which is very good for me because our difference in souls right now is very high. He has around 400 more souls than I, which is almost a whole item. I'm really trying to get these souls here. He's denying a lot of them, so that means that now it's a 500 soul lead for him. I'm clearly losing this lane right now. Still trying to stick to the principles of hurting the enemy healer minion before anything else, but he is just doing better right now. I bought healing right and extra stamina at the very beginning here because it helps a lot when you're losing a lane. You really need to go for vitality. Don't really want to go for weapon damage until you have some control over the lane. Here I thought that I actually hurt that, got the last hit on that minion, but I did not. Now I know that I can't take a fight like that head on, so as soon as he did all that, I ran away. I tried to get behind cover as quickly as possible. Because if he was able to shoot me just a couple times while I was stunned there, he definitely would have been able to kill me. I'm still trying to push the lane, although I'm clearly losing right now. I'm down by 500 souls, 600 souls now, just so that he can't really add that pressure to me, the minion pressure. Now, so that I can do some damage to him, I actually ended up buying here headshot booster. That way I can maybe have a chance at being able to fight against him. But I realized that that's not the case. He got his ultimate already because he's so high on souls here, so he will be using that soon if I remember correctly. There it is. Use this ultimate. Definitely want to get behind cover here so that he can't really reach me, and I'm just trying to run away at this point. At this point, I'm just scared. Now, for some reason in my head, I thought it would be a good idea to turn around here and try to stick around, but no, definitely not. I should be going back right now. I just want to capture some souls and then go back, but I should not be doing that. I have 500 souls here now, so I'm going back to buy items, but I am losing really badly right now. I'm down by 1,000 souls right now, but I wouldn't be showing you this if it didn't have a purpose, right? So in the end, we will be turning this around, and that's what I really want to show you, what you're able to do. You can't do everything, you can't win every lane, so you just have to make the best of it. Now I come back full health. I try to push him because I know that his ultimate is down, so I just try to go for him as much as I possibly can here. He stunned me, but he's not running away just yet, and then I realize, okay, he's at the guardian and I'm not behind my own creeps, so I really need to run back. Now he doesn't realize this, that I can do as much damage as I do, so I hit him just a couple times in the head and that was it. Just because he got kind of cocky. This is really how you bring it back. When they make mistakes, as long as you can stop yourself from making a mistake, you'll be good. You will be able to come back. All you can really do is control your own play and wait for mistakes to happen from the enemy team in a situation like this where you're losing as much as you are. Now I might have lost the lane already because the guardian is destroyed and he's up over 1,000 souls at this point, so he's clearly beating me. But if I can keep the lane pressure on, that means that he won't be able to just leave the lane and he won't be able to just hurt my own team just because I lost the lane. If I keep this lane pressure, then he won't be able to really help his team at the other lanes. I can just keep him here. This way he's not able to use that lead that he built up against me to really help his team right now. I'm just trying to keep him busy basically. And if he does leave the lane, I would be able to take the guardian. So that's the whole idea here. I'm trying to keep my distance. He used his ultimate, therefore I try to run away from it as quickly as possible. And he's still here. He's still going. Now I thought that I was gonna die here, but you can use cover such as that car and crouch so that you don't just die. But again, I'm trying to keep him busy. So as long as I can push my lane, I'll be doing my job here. Now as you can see, because he never left, because he didn't farm as much, he wasn't able to kill me or anything. Now our soul count is exactly the same, all because I was able to stay in the lane and stop him from doing any real damage or farming. I'm using the zipline speed boost here so that I can come back to the lane as quickly as possible after purchasing items. I bought Hollow Point Ward, Leaf Foot. I also bought Mystic Reach, Mystic Burst. All these items that are gonna really help me apply some pressure to him. Now the laning phase at this point, this is one of those games that is already going a little bit further. So the laning phase is really already complete here. Now, although we lost the lane and I added a little bit of pressure in lane here, now I need to do something else. I need to accept my loss and go to my team and help them out. So I use my ultimate here and I just try to help out as much as possible during this team fight here. And this is really how you bring it back. Although maybe you lost the lane, as long as you're able to contribute something to the team and not take away by dying, you will be set up for a real good game here. And that's really the end of the laning phase. Sometimes you just can't do too much because the enemy might be taking the same tips that you are right now by watching this video. But as long as you keep the pressure on by pushing the lane out and not dying, you'll be doing 10 times better than the average player in this game. So as a beginner, this is really what you want to focus on. Now I really hope that some of these tips resonated with you. I really hope that as a beginner, you are able able to keep track of a lot of these things. I know it's a little hard, but if you actually write it down, keep it in your notes, keep it in the back of your head, you will have a much better time playing the game, and you will be winning lanes a lot more often. And if you're not winning, you're still able to contribute to the team. I will be doing more detailed guides on the other sections of the match, like the mid game and late game, but for now I don't want to overwhelm anybody, so let's stick to the laning phase here. Let me know in the comments down below what other topics you want me to cover. I will be doing more guides in the future. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one. I will out.